Good afternoon and welcome to today's VetNet Entrepreneurship Track Hangout where we'll be talking about the Citi Salutes Realizing Your Dream Business Competition. And today's focus will be on the setting up pro forma financial statements where we will be discussing cash flow, income statement, and balance sheet. Before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. If you're participating live, please feel free to just speak up and ask your question, or you can ask it via the chat box. You can enable the chat box by clicking on the left-hand side of your screen and clicking on the chat icon. For those of you watching out on YouTube, please feel free to type your question into the chat function and we'll relay it to Mirza. And finally, you can always type your question on the Google Plus event page. I'll have Mirza start off by talking a little bit of an overview of the topic, and then we'll look to take your questions. And we'll answer them. So Mirza, I'll turn things over to you.
All right, thanks Mike, and thanks everybody for joining, who are watching, who are going to watch later. As Mike already said, we're talking about financial plan or financial section of your business plan. And the financial section is typically something that you do toward the end of a business plan. Once you figure out what your products and services are, how many clients you're going to have, how you plan to market it, what operations you need, because all these things are going to dictate what your expenses will be as well as your revenue, right? So you're writing up the financial section. Most of it is not really being written. Most of it will be pro forma income statements, balance sheet, and a cash flow. But the written part, it's the highlight, or you summarize and show the highlights of what one can expect to see in the cash flow and income statement. So this is where you identify, and when you develop your income statement financial pro forma statements, they have to be consistent with everything that's been portrayed in the business plan. So if you talk about you're going to do a stage entry of products and services in the field, one should be able to see that if you say in the first 3 months you're going to introduce product A, months 3 to 6 you're going to introduce product B, one should be able to see increase in revenue on month 3 because you introduced a new product, but also one should see marketing expenses increased, capacity expenses increased, meaning added human resources and so on, that's related to a new product being introduced. So that has to be reflected and has to be consistent with everything else in your business plan. Sometimes also to help validate your financials, compare critical financial ratios from your plan with those of your industry, which will explain and justify what are some, also which will help and justify why you are thinking this or you're predicting certain numbers will take place. This is really the pro forma income statements are the plan for profit part of financial management, and they can indicate potential financial feasibility of your new venture and shows really is this feasible or not. A lot of times the investors, when they excuse me, when they read the business plan, they first look at the executive summary. If they like the executive summary, they're going to go to financials, and if they look feasible and they look lucrative, then they're going to dig deeper and maybe invite you to talk to you. So in that section, so you highlight, you identify, or you write up some of the highlights of your financial statements. You also want to talk about cost controls. You want to explain how you will obtain information about report costs and how often, who will be responsible for the control of various cost elements, and how you will take action on budget overruns. Right? Explain any unusual items not identified in the financial statements, but also explain how you're going to keep track of your financials moving forward. Are you going to use QuickBooks? Are you going to use an accountant, bookkeeper? All those things, again, give you credibility that you know what you're doing and that you will manage your costs. In terms of the financial statements overall, you should have pro forma income statements, balance sheet, and cash flow analysis. Using the sales forecast and the accompanying operating costs, prepare your pro forma income statements for at least first 3 years of your business. So be sure to use numbers that are consistent with what is being proposed, as I said, in the overall sections of your plan: marketing, operations, management team, and your timely schedule. Identify any assumptions that you might have. A lot of times, because you're limited to number of pages, it is good to put the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow in the appendix and do a quick write-up of each one of them in the actual business plan. And then at the end, at the bottom, say, see appendix B, C, D, E for more details. In terms of, so have at least 3 years for the income statement. Same thing for the balance sheet. Prepare your pro forma balance sheet on a semi-annual basis for the first year, and then each year individuals will show the first 6 months, second 6 months, and then
You could
year
tell
2 and
mentioned
3.
financial expenses that when partnered with their peers are magnified.
What was the question, or was it? Okay, I assume it was something background.
Yep.
And then for the cash flow really you want to do same thing for the first 3 years, but first year operation, do it monthly, show it the monthly, because it is the cash flow that most of them are going to look at, and make sure that this is also consistent with what you're saying in your business plan overall. And then for the second 2 years, do it at least on a quarterly basis, show what your expenses and income will be. Here it's also will indicate what startup costs you're going to have, what bank loans you're going to get, what investors, and so on. So it is really important that you go in as much as detail. If you guys need, actually, Mike, I'm going to share with you and Jim some of the pro forma cash flow and income statements that are templates, so everybody else can use them if it's helpful. Some people don't like them, some like them. So you can use that. It gives you at least an idea of what goes into them, and then you can customize it for your own needs. So that's kind of in a nutshell that you identify what are some critical components, what are some highlights in the financial sections that somebody can expect to see, and using some of the industry ratios can also help you determine if you're on the right track or not. And that said, I'll open up for any questions or concerns that any of you might have. And we have Jennifer and Rosemary here, so if both of you have any questions, now is the time to ask them. No questions from Rosemary?
Nope.
All right. Jennifer, how about you?
I'll make mention now, for those of you who do have the nuts and bolts book, please refer to section 11. So it starts on page 32. That'll go through a little bit more thorough of a description. Like we said, we will have the templates for the financial statements that Mirza will share with Jim and myself. So please either directly email myself. My email address is meschhoen@syr.edu, or please feel free to type your question out on the Google Plus event page, or your request out on the Google Plus event page. We'll make sure to get you over what you're looking for.
I highly recommend that when you work on your financials, that you reach out to your local business advisor, be it SBDC, SCORE, VBAC, any of them. They can help you review the numbers. As I mentioned previously, I believe, go also to a banker. The bankers are well versed in the financial statements, especially commercial bankers who have to review business plans for commercial loans. Go to them, help them, have them assist you. That's why you have your banker there. The bankers are not there to approve, disapprove your applications. The bankers are also there to help you with your financials and your projections and assist your business to be successful. So see them as a part of the team. And I believe it's easier sometimes to schedule a meeting with the banker than to get a free business advisor, because these guys have a full schedule and sometimes might take 2 or 3 weeks to get on the calendar, versus banker sometimes you just walk in, or maybe just send in advance to him or her your financials and say, hey, let me stop by tomorrow for 15-20 minutes, we can review it. Because I know we've been using local bankers here for our business plan competitions to assist our students, and they have been tremendously helpful. And remember, bankers are should be part of your BAIL team, BAIL. Banker is actually the first one, right? Banker, accountant, insurance guy, and lawyer. So make sure to have them as well, and share it with, definitely make the banker part of the conversation, because if you're part of a conversation, you make them be part of the conversation, they assist you with that. then if you have to go and get a line of credit for, let's say, $10,000, that bank already knows your business plan, knows what you're doing, they know your financials, and they'd be more willing and able to work with you and also assist you on getting that microfinancials or the line of credit that you're seeking.
So Mirza, while we're waiting on any questions to come through, I'll make mention of next week's Hangout and the topics that we'll be covering. So next week, well, actually this Friday, we have session 8, which we will cover the management team, boards and advisors, human resource management needs, structuring the offering or proposed deal. So again, that video is already out there for you to watch, but we have it scheduled for Friday. Please feel free to type your questions in the Google Plus event page after watching the event. And we will have office hours Monday, February 9th from 12 to 1 p.m. Now, I will say, we're coming up on the close of the business plan laboratory. We do have a couple more office hours scheduled. So we have Monday, February 9th from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. We have Friday, February 13th from 12 to 1, where we will be discussing the executive summary. And finally, Wednesday, February 18th from 12 to 1, we will be discussing tips for presenting a business plan to investors and judges. So over the course of these events, again, please feel free to bring any questions that you have for any of the past sections that we've gone through. Keep in mind that we are here for you throughout, leading up to the contest, but it would be beneficial to address these questions or concerns earlier and sooner than later. So I'll quickly mute my mic. I'll have Jim just take a look out on Google Plus and YouTube, and Rosemary or Jennifer, if you have any questions, regardless if it's about the financials or otherwise, please feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up here in a couple minutes. So no questions from Rosemary. I don't see any questions out on Google Plus or YouTube. So Mirza, any kind of closing comments on this section? I do echo what Mirza says is, reach out to your bail team on this. Also connect with your local SBA office, SBDC, SCORE, VBOC, whatever resources in your area to go through this this section to make sure that your projections and numbers are somewhat realistic going into it, as a lot of the judges will right out of the gate. Like Mirza said, look at the executive summary, then go right to the financial section of your business plan. So Mirza, any closing comments you have?
Not really, nothing concrete. If you have questions, I just want to echo what Mike says. Email us. Mike, you must be doing a great job because they have no questions. So this is good. This is good. But if you have any questions next week, I don't know how far you are with your financial statements and so on, but if you have any questions, let us know. I have emailed Mike the pro forma templates. Maybe that will be helpful for you as well. So have fun, keep entrepreneuring, and see you at the next office hours.
Thanks, Mirza. And as a reminder, we are closing in on the submission date for the business plan competition, which again is March 6th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So we are about a month out. So keep that in mind as you move forward with your preparations to submit. Rosemary, I'll type it in the chat box right now. Very good. So Rosemary, just send me an email. I believe I have your email address already, but I'll get you over the pro forma statements that Mirza sent. So with that being said, we'll wrap up today's hangout. Again, next office hour session is Monday, February 9th from 12 to 1 p.m., where we will be discussing the management team, boards of advisors, human resource management needs, and structuring and offering the proposed deal. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.